And let's get to all the latest updates on the global Microsoft outage. The biggest IT outage ever in history has grinded services to a halt. Now we can tell you that in India, the Delhi Airport T3 Terminal 3 information screens have returned to normal. They're once again back to displaying live flight information. 23 flights have so far been cancelled at the Kolkata airport as a result of this disruption. Washington DC metro train services have been suspended. Major banks, airports, airlines have been impacted. And I'm talking globally, not just in India or some countries. Every single country right now is suffering the impact of this Microsoft outage. Let's bring in Aishwarya Paliwal on this broadcast. Aishwarya, focusing first on the situation right now at the Delhi airport. Some sense of normalcy returning there?
Well, Akshita, the chaos has subsided and the display of information can be seen by everyone now. Most of the boards which had, actually conked off, we can now see that they have started to display a lot of information. Not just that, outside the gates, all these, screens had gone blank. One can see that there is information which is being displayed. Information with regards to the flights can also be now seen on various boards which have been played across the Delhi airport. And, the biggest takeaway at the moment, Akshita, is the fact that the serpentine queues that we were seeing almost an hour ago, all those queues have now shortened, which means that at the moment, normalcy somewhat has returned. Just barely 5 or 7 people standing outside gate number 3 at the Delhi airport. So this is,
Okay, Aishwarya, I'm just going to come back to you. Another big breaking news that's coming in, which is that CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity firm, the vendor of Microsoft, which had deployed an update which led to this outage, has confirmed that a fix has been deployed for the bug that's caused the global IT outage. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that means that very, very soon we'll see all issues being resolved. But again, bringing the focus back to the situation in India, I want to take us across to Suryagni Roy, who's joining us live from Kolkata airport, where 20 plus flights, we're being told, Suryagni, have been cancelled so far as a result of this mega global outage.
Well, absolutely. And what we can see over here that we have been showing is that these registration kiosk machines are the ones which have been working. Thankfully, we'll ask someone, sir, আপনার এটা কাজ করেছিল যখন আপনি
আগে যখন গিয়েছিলাম কাজ করছে, এখন করছে।
আচ্ছা, এবার কাজ করেনি। আপনি কোথায় যাচ্ছেন?
আমি অ্যাকচুয়ালি সান ফ্রান্সিসকো যাচ্ছি ভায়া দিল্লি।
ইউএসএ ফ্লাইট কি ডিলেড বা ক্যান্সেল বা এরকম কিছু? ওরকম কোনো ইনফরমেশন নেই। ঠিক আছে। So, this gentleman over here, we were speaking to him. He's going to San Francisco from here. His flight isn't delayed, nor it has been cancelled. So that's a good thing that international flights, the reason why I'm mentioning this, and he's the second person I met over here. The first one being, when we were doing the bulletin with you, where a lady was going to New York via Mumbai, and even her flight was not delayed, neither was it cancelled. So international flights are working pretty fine. So that's a good, side of relief for the passengers who are traveling international from Kolkata. One issue that we are seeing is that, some of the registration kiosks over here, the DG Yatra ones, they are not working. This one, I guess it's working. I'll try and speak to the gentleman. Sir, is this working right now?
I'm just trying.
You're trying?
Yeah.
Okay, so some of them were, they were initially working these kiosks which, help people to get through the DG Yatra, these doors over here. So some of them were working in the morning, in the afternoon when we arrived over here, Aishwarya. And right now some are facing difficulties. However, as we were saying that yes, some flights have been cancelled. A lot of flights have been delayed. So that is a reason of worry. However, what we do understand is that, even if it's delayed, the scheme of things inside the, premises, it's being done in a slow but in a fashion that will pick up pace. It's something that no one really expected, that it came out of the blue. And what we do understand is that even if the entire technical issue is still not solved, at least throughout the airports in our country, the processes are on and it's being taken care of. That's the sense that we are getting over here.
So hopefully we will see normalcy creeping into our airports also very soon. Thanks, Suryagni, for joining joining us with those details. We're seeing an unprecedented Microsoft outage that's impacted the entire world, and it's led to a major disruption in services. Transport networks are down, media networks are down, and it's caused huge problems in banking services as well globally, and of course here in India as well. Scenes internationally, the Dubai airport, Los Angeles airport, Amsterdam, all of them have been impacted due to the massive outage. We've seen also that in India, Indigo, Air India, Vistara, Akasa Airlines, as well as in fact Air India, they've all reported issues. Now I can also get your first reaction coming in from Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu, who's sent out a message clearly assuring passengers. Ram Mohan Naidu has said that airport authorities have been directed, airlines have been directed to help passengers in every possible way, to provide extra seating, water and food for passengers who've been affected by delays. He's also said that we understand all concerns and are working tirelessly to ensure your safe and swift travel. Your patience and cooperation are greatly appreciated. So the government right now on its toes as well, tracking the situation very closely. We got a communication earlier that they were also in touch with Microsoft to understand the scale of damage here that's been reported, particularly from the India point of view. But as far as airports go, we've been seeing multiple delays, and Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu, taking note of the same, has said that airlines, airport authorities, all of them have already been briefed by the government to provide passengers with all necessary help as they continue to deal with these kind of flight delays. In some cases, flights have been delayed by up to 2 hours, so people have been left stranded at these airports, which is why the government is ensuring that the priority is the safety and the comfort of passengers who are currently waiting now for this tech glitch to come to an end and for smooth processes to continue at the airport. Officials on ground are doing everything they can to ensure normalcy as much as possible, including doling out handwritten boarding passes. Everything is being done manually right now. That by itself is causing a delay, and even flights taking off right now have been delayed. Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu, taking note of the situation, has said very clearly that he is tracking right now every update that's coming in, and has said very clearly in a direct message to passengers saying that your patience and cooperation are greatly appreciated, and that work is going on round the clock to ensure safe and swift travel. Airlines and airport authorities have been asked to provide extra seating, water and food for passengers who've been affected by these delays. So this is the latest update that's coming in, even as we're seeing that there are several passengers who've been waiting for word on their flight. There are some airports where there have also been cancellations reported. We can tell you that in Kolkata airport, 20 plus flights have been cancelled as a result of this particular outage. But in other airports, we're being told that largely the challenge is to do with delays caused due to this tech glitch that's affected every single airport across the world. So it's not something that personnel on ground can do anything about. With the current challenges in hand, they're doing the best they can to ensure that operations continue smoothly. Flights not being grounded as of now in India, while in several other countries that step has already been taken. Here the DGCA has made it very clear that they do not see the need to do that just yet. Just by pushing forward manually, they're trying to ensure that they get the job done.
हमारे एयरलाइंस सर्विसेज जो उसमें ग्राउंड ऑपरेशंस भी ब्रेक हुए हैं, लेकिन मैन्युअली अभी उस पर काम चल रहा है. डीजीसीए और मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सिविल एविएशन उसका मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं. हमने सभी जो एयरलाइंस कंपनियां हैं उनको अवगत कर दिया कि आप सभी यात्रियों को इसकी सूचनाएं दें, इससे अवगत करें, और हम सभी लोग डीजीसीए हो, हमारा मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सिविल एविएशन हो, हम इस पे काम कर रहे हैं, मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं.
So that's a statement from the Civil Aviation Ministry, the MOS. They're confirming that all steps are being taken to ensure that it's minimum inconvenience for passengers in this current situation. And joining us here on India Today now is cybersecurity expert Dr. Satish Rath. Thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Dr. Rath, now with the latest communication that's come in that a fix has been deployed, how long do you see it taking really for normalcy to creep in for this outage to come to an end?
Thanks for having me on this important topic. So definitely, there is a good hope that CrowdStrike has already released the update, and then maximum maybe within short time we should be seeing normalcy on the operation, getting into space. But this can be confirmed only when the business owners like aviation, banking, and media outlets, who have been affected, start reporting that things have been normal. But I think there is going to be a cascading effect for whatever delay that has happened due to the, let's say, outage, because, airline is an industry which is going to, this impact is going to be there for another, 2 days and 3 days, for whatever, cancellations and the delay that has happened. And because this is a global thing, so hope, this can be, contained with minimal kind of time frame. Good to know that, Microsoft and CrowdStrike have already acknowledged that they found the bug, deployed it. But the important part is this should have been expected. So there is definitely something, what the regulators as well as the businesses should have actually worked towards it to prevent it.
Why do you say that, Dr. Rath? Why do you say that this is something that you could see coming, essentially?
So let's say, let's understand, where the root cause is. So let's say there is an update in the configuration system from the backend. If we have to understand it in simplified, let's say language, then there is a breakage between the compute and the memory. So when any computing system, there is a breakage between the compute systems and the memory, then the entire system is actually, shuts down. Now, when CrowdStrike has actually initiated this configuration setting, I don't know whether they have already, informed the, let's say, business owners that, they are going to do this deployment, and what is the possible impact on it, and whether the businesses were also aware that, this kind of update is coming and this can have a possible, let's say, breakdown, and what are the preparedness. So looking at the initial report, it appears that, other than maybe CrowdStrike, nobody was aware, including Microsoft, that, this kind of a disruption could happen potentially and can actually do such a big outage. And this definitely talks about something to learn from it so that, bigger things other than this, can be averted.
Also at this point, Dr. Rath, the question, of course, that everyone's also asking is, what kind of an impact really has it had on India versus other countries globally? In several countries, we're looking at rail networks coming down, media networks that have completely shut off for the last few hours, banking services that have been hit. Here in India, it's largely been limited to airports, to flight ops. Why is that? Is it that we're not as dependent on tech, we're not as plugged in online as other countries?
Yeah, so that's a very important question. So, any connected system or any digital system, the impact is directly proportional to the impact of digitization, in your infrastructure. So, as we understand, I think, aviation is something which is globally connected, and mostly it is using, Windows systems. So that's why we saw a majority of the airline and the airports, facing this glitch. Even London Stock Exchange actually was affected. Even some media outlets were affected. So this definitely tells that, whichever industries, definitely aviation and banking, and maybe some industries have yet not realized that, they are affected. Maybe they will be reporting a little bit late. But as you said that, as our digital infra actually grows, the impact could have been much more worse. But this is already worse. And I think, we should be taking stock of it and then, trying to prepare it for the future.
Yeah, this is the worst IT outage in history. And that speaks volumes of really the impact it would have had. And I'm sure in the next 24, 48 hours, we'll get a sense of what that also means on business terms, so the kind of losses that it's led to globally as well. But keeping this in mind, this particular situation, is there anything that actually can be done by any country, even by India, to kind of counter this kind of a situation, ensure there's no impact if this happens ever again on the country?
That I would say is the most important question. Definitely, these kind of things can be, let's say, prevented. First thing is any digital connected system which is dependent on multi-systems, it is vulnerable to fail. So whenever, things are vulnerable to fail, let's say, take an imagination of, a patient on a ventilator or a flight which is, taking us 30,000 feet above, then I think, there are always multiple failure, backup systems. So same way should be done for cloud. Cloud should be actually declared as a digitally sensitive, vulnerable infra, which is critical for any economy. And when these kind of systems are declared as nationally sensitive and security-wise sensitive infrastructure, they ought to have backup systems. So, very simple things are, where, clouds can be, mirrored, they can be redundant systems, there can be distributed systems. And these are all known facts. If, let's say, in Australia it failed and then, they had a copy in a different country or of a different configuration, they could have actually, saved this, let's say, issue. Let's say the Linux systems and the Mac systems did not get affected, but the Windows systems got affected. So this can be prevented by taking, everyone in the ecosystem, some of the work. As digitization is getting more and more AI-centric and more singular monopoly kind of, let's say, centric. So let's say businesses are also cutting down their cost on their IT as well as their engineering infrastructure, and they are completely dependent on Microsoft. Same way, let's say regulators are also, cutting down their, national, let's say, research infrastructure, and then actually completely getting dependent on Microsoft. So when some outage is happening at Microsoft, everybody is looking up to Microsoft, whereas, they are not actually proactively to solve the system. So my suggestion would be just to 2 or 3, whenever there is a critical cloud system in digital infrastructure, it has to be built on redundant systems and duplicated systems. That is part 1. Second is the accountability should be there also with the vendor as well as with the business owner. To cut costs, they should not be cutting down the engineering infrastructure and the manpower so that, they can proactively also solve this system. And third is there should be always multi-systems, in these business critical systems. You cannot be dependent on a single vendor or a single provider. You should be having, your mechanism so that, whenever these kind of outages are happening,
and I think that's something that most experts have agreed with Dr. Rath, that there needs to be a plan B, that everyone can't be reliant on just one system, one big company like Microsoft right now. And as a result of that, as their cybersecurity vendors had a problem, everyone globally is being hit. Dr. Rath, thank you very much for joining us with your expert view on what's really happening. The outage, mind you, has still not been fixed. Let's take you through some of our global reports on what's the situation across the world right now. Lavina Tandon getting you this ground report from Heathrow Airport.
I'm outside the Terminal 3 at Heathrow Airport, and as you can see behind me, a lot of people at the moment have gone inside, but these people, mainly from American Airlines, have been majorly impacted by this Microsoft tech outrage, and many of them are coming here and they do not know what will happen and whether they can be put up in a hotel. I just spoke to an old couple who are sitting outside behind there, and they are trying to find a hotel because they do not know how and where they can stay for the night because their flight has been cancelled. Similarly, that's the situation with a lot of people who are going to Denmark as well. These are the people that I have spoken to, and if I could take you inside to show you the kind of queues that are here at this point in time. Now I'm just trying to go inside to show you that. If you give me a sec, just see behind me the queues they're going through outside, and this mainly for the American airline, but then otherwise there are many other airlines that are being impacted, and people are not being given a hotel or help with all of this because their systems are absolutely down. So people are having to just sit down like this, if I can show on the sidelines, and figure out their life as of now. So in the UK, it's health services, the GP surgeries, the airports, some of the rail stations, and not all of them though. This is quite interesting because, and also something to be noted is that not every airport or every place has been impacted. Internal systems are okay, sort of, in some places, but when it is something to deal with outside, like business to consumer, B2C, that has been impacted a lot. So GP surgeries, therefore the appointments of the patients, etc. And here the flights, the payments. So it's not all the airports, but definitely London affected, Heathrow affected, Edinburgh affected, Manchester it seems is okay, Glasgow it seems is okay, but Heathrow, you can see, is majorly impacted. London for India today from Heathrow Airport, London.
Okay, let's get you now the latest updates again from India on the impacts that this outage has had largely in airports. The latest update from Aishwarya Paliwal at Delhi's IGI airport.
Chaos has subsided and somewhat normalcy has been restored at the Delhi airport. Now, those passengers who still have to go inside, they don't have to wait in serpentine queues. One glimpse and you'll be able to gauge that the queues have shortened considerably. It means that things are back on track slowly and steadily. The airlines have now been giving all kind of assurances to the passengers and no grounding of flights has taken place in India at least. Normalcy slowly returning. However, the airline staff is still making sure that they do give the boarding passes. Manual boarding passes are being given, but with regards to the other things, the screens working, flights being on time, all those things are now back on track. With camera person Prem, this is Aishwarya Paliwal reporting for India Today.